Hello again, it's me, Sil, and this is Slow Easy English. I decided to make this video very shortly after my last video because I realized that there was another rule which nobody uses actually, very few people. So in the last video, I gave you, or I taught you how to choose who or whom, and which is the correct way to ask a question or say a sentence. In that video, some of my examples actually contained textbook mistakes, but they're not mistakes in natural language. Again, sometimes native speakers don't speak the way a textbook says they should. Now, it depends on how many people speak a certain way. So, for example, with who or whom, very few people use whom, okay? Like maybe, seriously, 3%, 4% might use the word whom. I never hear it. None of my friends use it. None of the people I've worked with ever used whom. Now, when I say ever, I don't mean zero, but I mean so few that it really doesn't matter. Again, you have to decide if it's important to use whom or not. It depends. If you're talking with your high school English teacher and if he's strict about that, then you may want to use whom. But for most situations and for most people, it's not important. What I'm going to teach you today is also along the same lines. So few people use it the textbook way, and in fact a lot of people don't even know or don't remember or don't care about the rule. But I wanted to talk about it because some of you might care about it, and although my advice as a teacher who teaches people how to speak English naturally, like native speakers, my advice is don't worry about the who-whom rule, and don't worry about this rule, okay? It's okay to break this rule because almost everybody else does too. Sometimes there are rules that, you know, half the population maybe they use correctly and half the population doesn't use correctly. In a case like that, I might argue that, you know, you want to say it the right way. Sometimes mistakes, a lot of people recognize them, a lot of people notice them, and it can make you look bad if you don't use the correct grammar or the correct word when you are in those situations. So again, it depends where you are, who you're talking to, and sometimes you want to be careful and you want to use the grammar that the textbook teaches you, but sometimes the textbook doesn't matter. This is one of those times where the textbook usually doesn't matter. So what is the rule I'm talking about? I'm talking about ending with prepositions. Okay? A question or a sentence should never end with a preposition. Now, what is a preposition? A preposition is a word like in, at, on, with, for. These words are prepositions. And a question is not supposed to end with a preposition, okay? So, in my previous video, I actually used 3 sentences, I think, with the preposition at the end. I said, "Who were you talking to?" That was a sentence. When I wrote that, I didn't even think about the rule. That's how unimportant that rule is. That rule is so rarely used by most people. Actually, it's almost never used. Again, a very small percentage do use it, a small percentage do care, but honestly, I think they give the impression of being pedantic. It depends, again, who you're speaking with. If all of the people you are with use those rules, then you don't appear pedantic. But if nobody uses those rules, then maybe you will. So choose your language carefully, okay? Anyway, back to this. Never end a question or a sentence with a preposition. That is the textbook rule. Again, for ESL students, if you want to speak like a natural native English speaker, don't worry about it, okay? But if you do worry about it and you do care, this is the rule. So, who were you talking to? Who is she going with? Who will you vote for? What are you looking at? Which room are you in? These are extremely natural ways of speaking. I don't know the number, but I'm going to guess 98% of these sentences, or of the people using these sentences, maybe 99%, maybe 99.9%, I don't know. But most people use these sentences as is, okay? Meaning they don't use that rule. But if you do want to speak according to the textbook rule, these questions should be, to whom were you talking? Here, the to, see, this preposition cannot be at the end of the sentence. It has to be somewhere else. In this case, we move it to the front. To whom were you talking? With whom, by the way, did you notice? I wrote who here. Because it's so natural to say who, not whom. So, correctly, though, the correct answer is whom, of course. To whom were you talking? With whom is she going? For whom will you vote? These questions, these are the correct questions if you pay attention to the textbook. At what are you looking? That sounds so unnatural, but that's the correct way. At what are you looking? In which room are you? You know, actually, this "in which room are you" doesn't sound really awkward. It sounds almost normal, almost usual. These are, to whom were you talking? With whom is she going? For whom will you vote? These are almost never used today. At what are you looking? I have never heard that. Never. In which room are you? For reasons that I can't explain, and I don't know why, this actually doesn't sound that odd to me. Again, it's more natural to say, which room are you in? Or what room are you in? We could say which or what, doesn't matter. But what room are you in, or which room are you in? Also, in which room are you? Again, it's less natural, I think, but it's not really unnatural. Whereas these feel quite unnatural. These are not very unnatural, but they're kind of unnatural. This one is very unnatural to me, and this one is it's not too bad. Anyway, the point is, if you want to speak like a native speaker, use these, please. Okay, this is how everybody speaks. If you want to speak like a textbook, then go ahead, use these. This is the correct way to ask these questions. Okay? So that's for your information. Just in case somebody wants to know what the correct textbook rule is, this is it right here. Okay? Great, that's it. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.